got 2 viewers.
Yo, how's it going? Huh?
You're live.
Okay. Happy Friday. Welcome to Lunchtime Concert Drumversations with Dr. Mark Lomax. Me, glad you're here. I want to just take a second to welcome you to this lunchtime concert and woosah. You know, if you have a drum, grab it and jam with me. If you don't have drums, you can clap, you can dance, you know, sing out, meditate, what have you. We're going to have all of that. Let us know that you're here. Make a little comment in the text box. And we'll have a good time together over the next hour. As always, we want to start with two things. We want to start with a breathing moment to kind of center ourselves, and we want to start with, after that, centering, just remembrance and honoring our ancestors. So let's take 30 seconds to just breathe in, out. Breathe in and out. As you breathe in, you're taking in all the great vibrations of the universe. And as you breathe out, we're letting go of all the anxiety and the stress, and the craziness of the week. In, out. Cool. This first piece I'll play for you, as always, is honoring our ancestors. And the way we do that is to keep their names in our mouths and in our minds. And so if you'll chat names of ancestors who are important to you, people who are in your family, people in world history that you feel a connection to or that have added value to who you are and who you are becoming, we will shout them out. This first piece, again, is from 400 African Epic. It's Ancestral Call. You mute the mic. Bring the mic out.
Just checking the connection.
It's fine. Is it done? All right. The mic's out. The mic's on. So, as always, we start with honoring our ancestors. I heard my dad's here. What's up, Pop? Love you. Love you, man. Glad you're here. We got some names to shout out. And as we call the names, we say Ashe. It is so. Amen. We honor them. First,
Abigail Clark.
Abigail Clark. Ashe.
Andrea Lawson.
Andrea Lawson. Ashe.
Richard Lawson.
Richard Lawson. Ashe.
John Doggett Jr.
John Doggett Jr. Ashe.
Ola Mae Tyson.
Ola Mae Tyson. Ashe.
Cynthia Dennis.
Cynthia Dennis. Ashe.
David Dooley.
David
Dooley.
Dooley. Ashe.
Francis Doggett.
Francis Doggett. Ashe.
Nina Simone.
Nina Simone. Ashe.
And say hello to Lolly.
Hey, Lolly. Is that my Lolly? My Lolly? My Layla is on the line. Hey, baby, that's my daughter. Glad you're watching Daddy for a little bit. I must be getting cool.
We hear you in the basement.
Oh, so the reason why it's important to start off with honoring our ancestors, especially in a time of the COVID pandemic, is because we have to remember who we are. And one of the ways we remember who we are is by remembering who we've been. And one of the best ways I know to recall who I've been and what I'm capable of is to remember who's come before me. So in my line, I would call that's how powerful it is to just remember when so much is happening to distract you from who you are. The only way we can pull through this together is to be who we're meant to be, to optimize our inner selves, and to connect with our inner verse. Frank Lomax, Verna Mae Lomax, Charles Fisher Goins. I mean, so many folks have poured into us. I'm going to play something else. We won? So sometimes when you're remembering your ancestors, they take over and you have to be obedient. That's why it's important to remember who you is and remember who you come from, because there's power from that. Real quick, I go on the deep end sometimes, but one of my favorite cartoons growing up was He-Man. And this is what early taught me the importance of ancestral veneration. Whenever Prince Adam, the person who would become He-Man, saw trouble, he took his sword out and he said, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. And he turned into this superhero. What I learned later was that Grayskull was Prince Adam's ancestor. And he derived his power from knowledge of who he is, right? And I know it's a cartoon, it's a children's story, but that's real. That's real. And when we remember where we've come from and who we are, we find that we have as much power as we need to do what needs to get done. And right now, we need to remember who we are. We need to be and become, and we need to work together to create the new world after this reset that we know is equitable and just for everyone. Do we have some other?
Say hello to Gino Young.
What's up, Gino Young, man? It's good to see you in the virtual world. It's been a long time. Great musician, great person, even better person. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I want to dedicate today to the men in the Marion Correctional Facility. I had a chance to work with them through a great organization, nonprofit organization called Healing Broken Circles that does fantastic work bringing humanity to an inhumane situation. And I call these guys out in particular because I have a relationship with them, but because in the last couple of weeks during the shelter in place, so much disturbing information has come out about how our brothers and sisters, no matter what the situation is, these people are our brothers and sisters, and they've been treated inhumanely inside these correctional facilities. And I want to make sure that they know that we are thinking of them, they are not forgotten, and there are many of us out here advocating for their safe, ethical, and humane treatment as we go through this pandemic together. Thinking about them, I pulled out Dr. Angela Davis's book, Are Prisons Obsolete, from 2003, where she says, an attempt to create a new conceptual terrain for imagining alternatives to imprisonment involves the ideological work of questioning why quote-unquote criminals have been constituted as a class, and indeed a class of human beings undeserving of the civil and human rights accorded to others. In times, especially times like this, we have to do our work. Yes, we have to continue to grow, and connect to our own agency and power. But we especially have to remember those of us who, for whatever reason, do not have the ability to engage their agency in a way to affect change in their immediate situation. So brothers at Marion, to the staff and team, Kendra Hovey and her team at Healing Broken Circles, we're with you. We're with you. And I know from my position in philanthropy, I've been engaging with some folks who are trying to bring some help. So we're doing all we can out here. We love you all and we're thinking of you. Today also, I wanted to talk about cymatics. We talked about this a little bit last week, talking about agency and connecting to our own power. Cymatics is a term from the Greek chyma, which means wave. And it is an area of physics that was kind of introduced by Dr. Hans Jenny in this great book, Cymatics. He goes through how sound affects the physical world. Last week, we talked about Dr. Masaru Emoto, whose video, Messages from Water, that you can find on YouTube, is about 48 minutes, documents the process of measuring the way in which sound and intention, as delivered through sound, impacts physical things like water, and even rice. And what he found is that the word and the intention behind the sound that makes the word affects the physical world at the molecular level. So that being the case, we can change ourselves and the world through the way we speak and the way we think, right? How is that? Because everything is sound. Everything vibrates, right? The impact of our intentions on physiology is massive, So think about how we respond to crisis, right? In times of crisis, when you have people on television every day driving a narrative that is really meant to increase anxiety, in a person whose body is made up of about 60% of water, that can be very dangerous. Dr. Masaru Emoto shows us empirically that by taking just a vial of tap water and looking at it through a microscope, you see nothing as you would expect. It's clear. But when you put it in the middle of a room and you have people impose their intentions on that water, positively or negatively, the water actually changes at the molecular level. When you look at it again at the microscope, after positive intentions, blessings, and the like, the water has developed beautiful geometric shapes that are similar to those found in natural springs, the natural spring he found outside of Kyoto to compare. The natural spring had automatically natural geometric shapes. Tap water had none because it had been processed. After it was blessed, it had beautiful geometric shapes similar to the ones found in the natural spring. When that same water from the same tap had been cursed, it developed these misshapen forms, right? And that is really important in times like this. This is why we have to connect inside as we go to connect with everyone, even through social distancing. The power of positive thought. Now, I understand the reality. I understand that we are losing people, and I understand that this is tough. I'm not negating that at all. In fact, embracing that loss and understanding how we can grow through it and honor those who have transitioned by being better, optimizing our human potential and realizing that potential by connecting to the power within is what this is all about, right? It's not positivity for the sake of positivity. It's making sure that you're connecting to your power and that we're connecting to our power together so that we together can create a better world, right? So this is not new. In most of your Bibles, somewhere it says, in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God. Word is sound. Word is vibration. In many African cosmologies, it says, in the beginning, there was the drum. The drum represents sound, right? And sound is vibration. And so if we are really cognizant of how sound impacts our physical world, both our bodies and the world around us, and we know that we can generate sound, and we seek to generate sound through positive intentions, speaking things that are only needed to be spoken, right? Thinking thoughts that help add value to our lives, and really doing the work of controlling as best we can how we move in a way that adds value to the world. We can change the world. Everything does not happen in Washington, D.C. How do I know this? It's because I practice it as best I can. I do. As a musician, I have to create work that I hope brings value to the world. And the way we do that is sitting down and being quiet. We sit down, we be quiet, we connect to the universe, we connect to the ancestors, and we ask for guidance. That guidance comes, for me, in the form of sound, art. And we do our best to produce high quality, high value work that helps people find themselves. And in finding themselves, they find us all, and we all find our collective power. Another thing I'd like to say about this, because we have the power of changing ourselves and the world around us at the molecular level, there's a book by Miguel Ruiz. It's a really good book, and it's really easy to read, called The 4 Agreements. And this has really helped me kind of monitor my own thought processes in various challenging situations. And the 4 agreements are simply, be impeccable with your word, right? Word comes from thought. Thought manifests our intentions. So if we are impeccable with our word and we speak our truth, right? And we have connected to our inner selves where we all are. The all is us and we are the all. Then that word has to be impeccable, and that word has to be a value add to the world around us. 1, be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take things personally. It's really easy to get thrown off your game when we take everything personally, right? Most of what people say to you or anybody else, to me, is a reflection of what's going on in their own consciousness. And if that doesn't agree with you, it's not your problem. Let it slide off like snot, as somebody said on In Living Color, right? Don't take it personally. Stay focused on the goals that the ancestors have laid out for you. 3, don't make assumptions. Ask a question. Because when we assume, not only do we make asses out of you and me, but we get to a point where it's really easy to take things personally. And again, we're thrown off. We're not achieving balance when we are allowing other people to control or dictate our behavior. And always do your best. If I can commit to myself to being impeccable with my word, not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and doing my best, then I am not only working in an optimized framework, I am adding value. I have found that to be true in my life. And why is that important? Because it leads me to Ma'at, cosmic balance. It allows me to impact and affect the world around me in a positive way. So I want to play a piece that kind of reflects that. Yes?
Healing Broken Circle said thank you. Thomas Anderson said hello.
Hey, Thomas Anderson. Hi, Kendra and Healing Broken Circles. Glad you all joined us today. If you have any questions about cymatics, about four agreements or anything, please put them in there. After I get done playing, we will discuss that. All right. Oh, quick commercial. Don't forget, we are not doing this for our health. We are hoping that those of you who can will support your local artists, because that gig economy has been decimated. There's no way to work. In Columbus, you can, if you have the means, donate to GCAC, Greater Columbus Arts Council.org /make-a-gift to help local artists pay the bills until we can get back to work. Also, we have a new CD came out just in January called the 400-Year Suite. It's an hour-long version of the 8.5-hour 12-album cycle, 400 an African Epic. And if you have time, go check out the epic. It's amazing, not because I did it, but because I did what the ancestors told me to do and told the story. And coming on May 1st, you can pre-order online now. We have the curriculum guide. It is all of the intellectual intellectual background of the 400 an African Epic piece. Who?
Angel Harris.
Hi, Angel Harris from Dress for Success. You know, they're doing a lot of great work to make sure that women have what they need to re-enter work when we're all able to safely get back to work. So that's another nonprofit you can support in the local Columbus area. Purchases of these items will contribute to what we're doing to support artists. None of it is coming to me. I'm fortunate to have a job and I don't need the resources. So we're doing everything we can to help other artists and other members of our community thrive through this difficult time. I'm going to play something else. We good? All right, where we at? What we got?
Jay Simmons, you use the symbols in a way I never thought ingenious.
What's up, Jay? Good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the compliment. The way that I have thought about the symbols really comes a lot from how I've watched a lot of other great drummers. For instance, this cymbal is a flat ride, and it doesn't have a bell, which allows me to bend it. And watching Emmett Otter and the Jug Band gave me the idea. The guy was using a saw, the Muppet was using a saw, and he was bending it. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can bend that, and when you bend it, you get a cool sound. And so when you're getting all those colors, timbres, and even pitches, how can you make that musical, right? So that's one way. Two, every cymbal has multiple timbres. So really trying to figure out in the heat of battle, so to speak, how to draw out those timbres so the cymbal doesn't sound the same every time is part of the drum language that I'm trying to create as we go. So thank you, Jay. It's good to see you, man. Hi, Angela Maleka. Ohio Citizens for the Arts, thank you for all the work you're doing to make Ohio art part of the destination to come to Ohio and put us on the map nationally. So thank you. Thank you. What else? Karen Lomax, what's up, cuz? Bishop F. Willis Johnson, it's good to see you, good sir. Thank you for being here. What else we got? Good to see you, Ralph. Thanks for having us on TV. What else? Okay. So again, cymatics is really deep because, again, if we have that power of agency, then that means we have to be accountable for what we say, how we think, and what we do. That's how we change things, right? I've been in a lot of conversations this week with various communities of people really not knowing what to do because this, in our lifetimes, is unprecedented. But in none of those conversations has anybody said, hey, we can do what we can do, and what we can do is a lot. And even allowing yourself to see yourself as powerful and allowing yourself to even try to speak and think differently about the situations that we find ourselves in is mind-opening. The whole idea of the symbol thing that Jay mentioned, allowing myself to hear an instrument differently when most quote-unquote jazz drummers just play like this. So for me to even think, wait, there's a different sound here or a different sound here presents so many more opportunities and opens so many other doors for a way to play. So that's one example of how I use this framework for my own thinking. Crate Digger. What's up, bruv? Good to see you, man. Glad you're here. So how does this work through sound? Well, hopefully you've experienced it as I've been playing. Hopefully the playing itself, because the intention is what it is, has helped brighten your day, made you feel better. That's one of the ways. Have you ever put on your favorite song and then you felt completely different after? Not just because you dance, but because whatever that song does for you, however it resonates, it just makes you feel some joy. That's the power of sound, and that's the power of intention, and we can do that. Steve Marine, what's up, man? Cincinnati in the house. Cincinnati is in the house. Okay, I want to. Who what?
Carolyn Caldwell, your basement is spotless. That is not true.
Carolyn, hi, good to see you. I want to dedicate this next piece to the folks at Marion. We good? cliche. So what do we do with all this? What do we do with all this? So it's easier said than done. I get it, right? But I'm thinking about all this, and I'm thinking about how we're shifting the ages to the age of Aquarius from Pisces. And I'm thinking that it's time for us to leave our isms behind and walk into our isness, right? Leave our isms behind and walk into our isness. What does that mean? It means for the last 400 years in America, much longer in the world, but America, we have been plagued by isms, racism, sexism, right? Genderism, classism. All of the isms have led to phobias, have led to all of this anxiety about how we engage each other, right? We overcome that by walking into our isness. Our isness is colloquial in my own vernacular to represent our most optimal representation of who we are. Who are you? If you don't know, now is the time to figure that out. Because as we move through and begin to reset and come out of this pandemic issue, we have the opportunity to create a new world. It's a reset. At first, honestly, like many people, I was like, what is going on? I think it's a hoax. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I realized that I don't have to know. I don't have to know. What I have to know is how I and the people around me are working to take this time to be better, to do better, so that when things return in some kind of way, that we are better and we can do better, which means the world will be better. Walk away from our issues. Leave them. Leave the isms and walk into your isness. Take a few minutes every day to get to know you. Take a few minutes every day to think about the things that have hurt you, the people that have hurt you, and process that pain. It's not easy. It's not easy. But neither is doing push-ups. Push-ups. Herschel Walker. I'm not a big football guy, but Herschel Walker, they say he didn't lift weights. He's a big guy. Didn't lift weights. He did 500 plus push-ups a day. Push-ups. Have you done a push-up today? I tried. It's not an easy thing, right? But you start today, you do one push-up, right? Tomorrow you can do 2 push-ups. And as you go, it gets easier because you get stronger. The same is true for your well-being and your psychological growth and the ability to engage your power. We have a comment or a question.
Dave Purcell, we badly need a reset. Do you see your music evolving or changing as a result of the pandemic? You're already ahead of most.
Hi, Dave. What's up, man? Thank you for the question. He said, we're in badly need of a reset, and do I personally see my music evolving or changing as a result of the pandemic? And he gave me a wonderful compliment that I'm already ahead. Interesting you say that, Dave, because I would never myself suggest that I'm ahead. But what I will say is that in really learning to be attentive to what I believe the ancestors have given to me and put in my consciousness for you all, for whomever will listen, is relevant to any situation, but particularly now. You got to think about it. Culturally, the drum set represents every culture on the planet. The tom-toms represent Africa. The cymbals represent the East, in India and Asia. And the bass drums, snare drum, and hi-hat represent Europe, right? Military, march music, Africa, drum choir, right? The use of bells and pure tones in Eastern religious thought and philosophy, right? So the work that I do comes from having to learn about all of the cultures that just are represented right here on the drum set, and then understanding that, or coming into the understanding that everything is sound, everything is vibration, right? And creating music that's even tuned differently. When we do a concert, I prepare the piano at 432 and not 440 because I believe that it's a healing frequency, right? So I am trying to do, Dave, everything I can to make the music as relevant culturally, politically, spiritually, and scientifically sound so that it helps others be their best. And if that means that it has to change, it will change. But I can't dictate that. I have to just be attentive and respond to what the ancestors are giving me. But thank you for that question and that compliment. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Hi, hi to Frankie Maleka.
Hi, Frankie. Hope everything is well and that you're enjoying distance learning on Zoom with Layla and your other friends at CSG. Hi, Mom. Love you. Glad you're here.
Emmanuel Mardasa sharing hope, love, and music. I feel it.
Ashe, Emmanuel. Emmanuel and his colleagues at ETSS, Ethiopian Tawahado Social Services here in Columbus, are doing fantastic work with our immigrant and refugee population, especially in this time where there might be language barriers, poverty, all kind of issues. So I appreciate the work you all are doing, Emmanuel. Anything else? Okay, so we've got a few more minutes, and I just want to leave with these thoughts, right? It's time to leave our isms and walk into our isness. It's time to become our best selves, 1. 2, let's use this time to come into knowledge of self, because our ancestors, we're all in the diaspora, right? We're all from the African diaspora, or a part of the African diaspora. And in ancient Kemet, all over the place it says, to know God is to know thyself. So whatever tradition you believe in, that's cool. Get connected with that and connect with yourself as a result. Let's use this time to relearn the power of speech to manifest based on our intentions and the energy put into sound, right? Be impeccable with our words. Always do our best. Don't take things personally and don't make assumptions, as beautifully outlined in the 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And let's live out the expression of our most optimized selves in order to ensure that the planet we leave is better than it was before we got here, right? We can do this. We can do this together. Again, shout out to Healing Broken Circles and the crew at Marion Correctional Facility. Shout out to ETSS. Shout out to Adrian Seltzer. Shout out to,
Time, Talent, and Treasure.
Time, Talent, and Treasure is her company doing great work to help nonprofits raise funds so they can continue their good work. Shout out to Dress for Success and Angel Harris. Ruth is giving me cues.
Angela Maleka.
And Angela Maleka at Citizens for the Arts, or Ohio,
Audrey Campbell in New York.
Oh, Audrey Campbell. Hey, good to see you in New York. Shout out to Gino Young, my mom and my dad. Lolly was here. All of my friends, thank you for spending your lunchtime with us. I'm going to play us out. Thank you. Have a great weekend.